Hello and welcome to my first devlog for this unnamed game. Right now we are in the Unity 6.4 editor, and I already have a little bit of stuff set up, but not a lot of it. So here I have a world generator, and you can see several boundaries here basically, and that has something to do with how I want the world to be generated, because this is going to be a factory building game, something like Factorio or Satisfactory or similar games. But this one is going to be in 2.5D, so it's not going to be top down, it's not going to be full 3D, it's going to be isometric, orthographic 2.5D. Why? Because I like it. I like the style of it and I want to make it work. All right, so let me actually visualize the terrain here. So this is randomly generated and it's actually Z based. So if I change the Z from Strainworks Dev to Strainworks Demo or something, you can see that some stuff changes. But it only changes outside of this first perimeter. Just pointing to the screen obviously makes no sense. You cannot see where I'm pointing. But yeah, you have this first perimeter in which everything is always the same. And that is because it's the starter biome. It's supposed to be always the same, so you can have a very specific set of resources that you can find there, which makes starting easier. If it were completely randomized, it would be much harder to get started. But maybe there will be a game mode in the future where you can play it with a randomized starter biome. Anyway, after this comes the next perimeter, which is basically some basic biomes that you will need in the early to mid game. And after that comes the third and final perimeter that is infinite, and it will have everything else. So you can see like the chunks that are being generated and everything. This is a streaming chunk-based implementation. So actually it is quite optimized. It only shows what is close to the camera. And here right now, it just doesn't render more because I'm only moving in the editor. I'm not actually moving the camera, but we can change that if we actually start the game. Let me do that. And now you can see what we have so far. Let me zoom out a little bit. And if I just pan and pan and pan some more, you can see that this is infinite. Like there's no point where this will stop generating, and you get all kinds of different biomes. Right now there's no biome blending. It looks very bad, right? It's just development art, right? All of this is just so I can have something to look at while I'm figuring out what I actually want to do. All right, so what we have right now is we have one machine that I designed in Blender that does not look very good, but it's fine. It doesn't have to look good for now. You can place it on a grid. We make some noise, some nice AI generated noise. It's also positional, so if you move through the world, it will be on your left or it will be on your right, which is pretty nice. And machines will fade out, which is a bit glitchy right now, but it's fine. You can always fix it later if you place something adjacent. All right, yeah, so this is everything we have right now, and obviously we're gonna need quite a bit more to make this a game. One thing I'm a bit concerned about is floating point imprecision. So for those of you that don't know, games usually use something called floating point numbers, which is basically a binary format that allows computers to store numbers that have a decimal point and a limited precision after the decimal point. The problem is this precision becomes less and less the larger the number gets. So very close to like 0.0, everything is very precise. Floating point numbers work in a weird way. Basically, you have something called the mantissa and the exponent. So it's stored in something like scientific notation, where you have like 1.3 times 10 to the power of 5, 6, 7, whatever. But this is actually not times 10 to the power of n. It is times 2 because it's binary. But anyway, so you have the mantissa, you have the exponent, and the mantissa basically stores the significant digits, and the exponent basically shifts the decimal point. The problem is, the larger the actual number gets, the less precise everything after the decimal point becomes, and that represents a huge problem if you have an infinite world. So close to the spawn point, like 0, 0, 0, everything works perfectly fine. But if you get like very far away from it, you start running into these issues where things will start chittering, you know, even though nothing is actually moving. And that is because you have these floating point issues where lots of things, physics and movement, cannot be evaluated properly anymore. So we are going to have to address this at some point, not right now, and I think it will be quite some time until we run into this issue, but we will keep it in mind because at some point we're going to have to fix it and going to have to think about how we want to do that. By the way, the music in the background is also AI generated. I just wanted some placement, what am I even talking about? Placeholder assets, so that I have something to look at, something to listen to, so that the experience of developing this game is not completely boring. But all of this is placeholder stuff and it will be replaced later. Anyway, how do we fix this imprecision issue? Well, we can do something that's called floating origin, where if we get far enough from the center, we basically shift everything back to the center, hopefully without the player even noticing that this is happening. And some games do it like that. There are also other ways to do it, basically. And one other way to do it is, right now we are basically moving the player, right? Like if we're panning the world, let me check. Here is the world, right? So nothing is changing here in the position, right? The world position is the same. The position of generated chunks does not change, right? But my camera position, well, my camera rig position does change. So as you can see here, as we are moving, yeah, the Z coordinate already gets quite large, right? You can see it's already at like something like 15,000. And the farther we go away, like, yeah, the more this will be, right? And if we put like an absurdly large number here, well, then we're gonna run into these issues at some point. I don't know if we're gonna run into them already. Yeah, actually you can see this happening right now. So this is the stuff you run into if your number gets too large. Everything is jittery, everything looks absolutely horrible, and the game is basically not really playable anymore if you're this far away from the origin. So either we do the floating origin thing where we just reset the origin back to 0 if we get sufficiently far away from it, or we do something where we basically don't move the camera, but we actually move the world and everything around, everything inside of it. And that's also perfectly possible because, like, there's nothing stopping us from moving the world, right? We can move the world independently of the camera, and the camera can always stay at 0. So in that case, it wouldn't really matter that much how far we are away from everything. But I think that will be a bit hard to implement with chunk streaming, so I'm thinking probably just gonna do floating origin at some point. Anyway, it's really not that important right now, and for now I just want to get some basic gameplay going. Just go back to the center. Okay, so now everything is fine and no chittering, no weirdness. Well, at this point in the video I should probably tell you what this game is even about. Well, the working title is Strainworks. You can still see an old working title in the title of Unity here, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, Strainworks. And basically it's, as I already said, it's a factory building game, but with a twist. You don't mine ores or like raw minerals or something like that. No, you actually mine bacteria. So this machine that I have here is called a sampler. And basically it will sample bacteria from the ground, and the type of bacteria you get is based on probabilities and also on the biome that you're in. And you will be able to do stuff with these bacteria. So, you know, some of these bacteria will be able to basically generate electricity or something. Some of them might be able to do like photosynthesis or something. Some of them will be able to consume specific organic materials or inorganic materials and turn them into something else. And I'm also thinking it would be cool to basically mix these bacteria together to get like new effects and stuff like that. Maybe even like somehow like breed them or genetically engineer them. There's lots of cool stuff you could do, but I think this is a bit different from what all of these other games are doing, and I think it's definitely a fun idea to explore. So yeah, for now, I will try to figure out what to do next. We're gonna need some kind of inventory system. We're gonna need some way to open machines and see what they are doing, see the progress of things. We're gonna need some way to connect machines together and basically pipe the sampled bacteria back into other machines. So yeah, I think instead of conveyor belts and stuff like that, we're probably gonna have pipes. That's what I'm thinking, but it's not finally. We're gonna have multiple things. Maybe it's gonna be pipes for the bacteria, and it might be conveyor belts for products or waste products, something like that. I'm really not sure yet. This is very early in the development, but yeah, I will brainstorm this for a little bit off screen, figure out what to do next, and then I will get right back to you with more updates. All right, we're back, and I've done quite a bit of work on a basic inventory system and also on UI in general. I've also updated the models a little bit, did some work in Blender. It's not perfect, but I would say it looks better than it did before. Actually, maybe I can show you that I have Blender right here. So yeah, this is my model. It's pretty basic. It's not the best thing ever, but it works. It works as a development asset for sure. It's just a couple of pipes here that I did using Bezier curves. Some toruses. Is toruses the correct plural? I think it is. I don't know. Yeah, the big glass container that will contain the bacterial matter and stuff like that. So yeah, that is the new model. And yeah, now we can see that the machines are producing bacterial samples. And I can actually click on them and add them to my inventory. And of course, if I click while there's nothing in there, then nothing will happen. Yeah, so this works fairly well. And items also stack, and I can define what is the maximum stack size and stuff like that. So that works very well. And yeah, let me just show you how this window system works, because I think it's pretty nice. So basically what I have here is a window frame, which contains a screen root that just centers the rest on the screen. So then we have the window root, and that contains title bar and a main container, and the main container will basically have the main content of the window, and of course the titles and everything will be replaced dynamically based on what the window is. So then inside of the window we have this little thing, which is the 2-panel layout, which is very simple. It's basically just 2 wrappers that can contain other stuff. And in the game, you can see that on the left, we're going to have the machine information or output. On the right, we're going to have the inventory. And these 2 views are also here, of course. This is the machine information window right now. Also pretty simple, just some AI-generated placeholder assets right now to have something to look at. Nothing too fancy. And we have the inventory, which is completely empty, basically, because we are filling this slot grid dynamically during runtime. But yeah, that is how this works, and I would say it works fairly well. And I've also got a nice scriptable object system now to define all of the kinds of machines and items. So maybe if you look at the items first, we have the bacterial sample right here. And as you can see on the right, the display name is bacterial sample. It's not currently displayed on hover or something like that, but I'm going to add that later. We have an icon, and we have the maximum stack size. And for the machines, so this is our sampler. We have a nice little preview where we can see what it looks like. We can change the footprint of the machine dynamically. We can change the visual offset. If we need to tweak that for certain models, we can do that so that it fits nicely into its space. We have the audio and how loud that is, and maximum and minimum distance and stuff like that for the 3D audio part. Yeah, and then we have the prefab, which is just basically the model that gets instantiated. And other than that, we can now also define inputs and outputs. So this machine, of course, does not have an input, but it has one output, which is the bacterial sample, and it generates one bacterial sample. Right now, there is still some stuff hard-coded that I need to move into this machine definition scriptable object. especially the stuff regarding cycles, right? Like how long a cycle takes and how many items are produced in a cycle. So right now you can change the amount of items produced, but you cannot change how long that takes or something like that. And you also cannot set the internal buffer size of the machine right now. So that is still stuff we have to work on. But other than that, I would say we are in a better place than we were just 1 day ago before I did all of that. And yeah, like being able to place machines, see what they are doing, and interact with the inventory is a huge milestone for sure. I really want to have drag and drop functionality later. Maybe I'm going to work on that next, because it's going to be a huge quality of life improvement for sure. And yeah, remove some of the hard-coded stuff, move it into the proper logic for the scriptable objects, and yeah, everything will be a lot neater, a lot tidier, and easier to work on. I also want to work on terrain generation a little bit, because right now we have these chunks, and one chunk basically has one biome assigned to it, which does not look very nice. It's all squares. It's not very organic. So I think we can work on that and basically have like these grid tiles inside of a chunk be part of different biomes, so that we can generate like a noise map or something like that, and use that to have biomes spill into other chunks as well, so that one biome can basically have multiple like chunks it grows into, you know, and multiple chunks. One chunk can have multiple biomes assigned to it. I think that will make the whole map look nicer for sure, and that's also something I'm gonna work on very soon. Maybe in the next video, because I think for the first devlog this is more than enough. I don't think many people are going to be watching this one, but yeah, this is my current progress, and let's see where it goes. If we can make a good game out of this. I'll see you in the next one.